We now return to the Bizarre Bar on DZRJ, 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines. Here's your host, Johnny Midnight.
Lately, one of our neighbors in Asia is offering us the services of a special coconut picking force. And these are monkeys from Malaysia and from Indonesia. Do you know that the monkeys in those countries have been trained by Indians to go up the coconut trees and to bring down the coconuts? They were very successful in India, and now Indonesia and Malaysia are employing these monkeys, and they're offering their services to our monkeys. Now, it's not the first time that humans have used animals for labor. In 1899, a lot of American newspapers, including the LA Times, printed a story claiming that a farmer had successfully trained monkeys to pick cotton on his plantation in Mississippi. The story was sourced to an article in the Cotton Planters Journal, and reportedly, the farmer was so pleased with the success of his monkey labor experiment that he had ordered more monkeys from Africa, and he was urging other planters to join him in using monkeys as laborers. Now, there is no evidence this story was true. In fact, the tale of the monkeys being trained to pick cotton and other products was one of the more persistent legends that circulated in the southern parts of America during the second half of the 19th century. And versions of it appeared in newspapers every few years. Now, a correspondent wrote in the Galveston News claiming that 18 years earlier, he had attempted to train monkeys to pick cotton on his plantation in Georgia, and he said that he had used 23 monkeys imported from the island of Trinidad. And numerous papers, including the New York Times, reprinted the text of his letter, and I would like to read it. The guy says, "I was mighty pleased when I received my monkeys. Their arrival turned my plantation topsy-turvy. For 2 weeks, nothing was done by whites or blacks but play with the monkeys. The overseer got one of the brightest looking and remained at his house most of the time watching the monkeys' tricks. And I must confess that my wife, myself, and children were in the same business. Seeing this would not pay, I began making preparations to go to work. I had reckoned on one Negro managing 10 monkeys and 5 monkeys picking as much as 3 Negroes could. For the next 2 weeks, all hands, whites and blacks, were engaged in the cotton fields, teaching monkeys. The result was somewhat different from my calculations. Instead of one Negro managing 10 monkeys, it took 10 Negroes to manage 1 monkey. And then the monkey did not pick a pound or an ounce of cotton. I became disgusted, gave up all my dreams, and gave up all my neighbors, and that would accept the monkeys. And about a fortnight since, sold the last 8 monkeys to a traveling salesman for $5 each piece. My monkey speculation has thrown me behind 6 weeks in cotton picking. The next time I go to Trinidad, I don't believe I shall want to buy any monkeys anymore. So the moral of the story, my friends, this is a letter that was published many times. The moral of the story was that while the monkeys had initially seemed like a good solution to the problem of harvesting cotton in the South, supervising their work turned out to involve far more effort than it was worth. On one level, the legend of monkeys being trained to pick cotton had obvious racial overtones. The suggestion that African American laborers, who were the backbone of the South's agricultural economy, could be easily replaced by monkeys, doubtless, they appealed to the racial wishes of the whites in the South. It was common for whites to compare black people to monkeys. Even up to now, they do that, you know. The tale also mentioned, more broadly, two beliefs about the relationship between monkeys and mankind. Particularly the belief that monkeys might be primitive humans who simply lacked adequate social training. Now, this idea that the monkeys could be trained to become humans would later inspire experiments in the 20th century, such as an attempt by psychologist Kellogg in 1931 to raise a baby chimpanzee as a human being. Well, it did not succeed, of course. But above all of this, you know, the tale addressed the importance of cotton to the southern economy of America, and now labor-intensive, the harvesting of monkeys. Now, planters fantasized about finding some way to reduce the cost of harvesting the crop. And for this reason, the idea of training monkeys to pick cotton proved intriguing to the southern imagination. When the harvesting of cotton became mechanized during the 20th century, the story lost its flavor and it stopped circulating. Well, you also have to know that once upon a time, we were planting, during the American occupation, when we were owned by America. Remember that Spain sold the Philippines to the Americans, and we were owned by the Americans. Well, there was a time that we were planting a lot of cotton, but people back in the States protested because they said we might lose our jobs. And so they stopped planting cotton in the Philippines, particularly in Pangasinan, where the cotton grows abundantly. It seems to me that the land composition of Pangasinan, the whole province and nearby areas, is very good for cotton. But they stopped the project, see, because of the possibility that we Filipinos could do better than the people in the south of the United States of America. And ever since, we have not gone back to plant cotton. Through the many years that I have been in broadcasting, I've always urged our Central Luzon people to plant cotton. Our land is very good for cotton. Well, that's my report about the monkeys. Now, I'm waiting for reports and developments about the monkeys that may be employed to pick on coconuts this time.